I think this is a really interesting conversation, right? I've got a couple of clips to play you about this hunting competition that happened in North Canterbury. Let's first of all, if you haven't heard it, get the gist of the conversation, shall we?
Our next story contains images some viewers may find upsetting.
Oof,
The controversial
like
North Canterbury hunting competition in Rotherham wrapped up today with the animal weigh-in. Despite children no longer being allowed to shoot feral cats after a public outcry, protesters still express their disapproval at the competition. Katie Stevenson reports.
Drawing crowds from near and far, hunters weighing their catches at this community event.
82, 82.
A record entry.
Imagine working the
obviously got
the
the
rat
attention of a lot of people around the world. So, massive entries, over 1,500.
That attention coming after making international headlines for introducing a feral cat category where kids could compete. Among the concerned was animal rights group SAFE, worried people's pets would be killed.
We got backlash pretty hard with the whole kids thing, and at the time we didn't sort of think it was going to go global, so we didn't sort of have the rules lined up. So we brought it back and put it in the adult section and with rules.
Those rules included using box traps and staying 10 kilometres away from any homes or lifestyle blocks.
That's pretty good.
If anybody thinks that someone's going to go out there and shoot poor old pet Moggy, they're sadly mistaken. This is about the wild cats out there on the hill that are killing lots of birds.
It's not your tame cats that you cuddle at home. Unfortunately, people don't de-sex their pets, and the runoff ends up in the country and we have to control them.
But tightening up the rules wasn't enough for these protesters.
We're here to protest them glorifying the mass slaughter of innocent animals and hiding behind conservation.
Tensions at some points running high.
Why are animals not given these rights? You shouldn't win a prize for killing an animal.
Entry fees will now fund the local school and pool.
The school needs $50,000 a year that we have to find to fund our third teacher.
Despite the controversy, some hunters set to go home winners. Katie Stevenson, One News.
All right, there's the first clip. Let me play the second clip as well, because this one's been going around the internet.
I have such strong views. I'm ready to rip.
Good. Let's have this though. This is what came out today from the Herald. So these are a bunch of kids who are protesting the protesters. If you can watch the video, they're holding cats, possums, small things that have been killed, and this is what these protesting the protesters kids were doing. They were screaming meat, 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 and parading the pest kills for the protesters.
Oh dear.
Three possums, I think.
Was you?
No, a couple of those are definitely cats.
There's a cat there.
You guys are being brainwashed and lied to.
Anyway, you get the idea. I think we can leave it at that to get the gist of it. So here's the thing, yeah. There's layers to this conversation. I'd love to hear people
so many
in
layers.
the chat because so it's the respect of animals' lives, got that, but it's also pests in our environment that if I was making the decision, I would eradicate every single possum in the country to save every single native bird. I would do it like that. I wouldn't think twice about it. I would be fine with that, right? Yet there's also a layer of how the kids are acting, and you kind of do think about the brainwashing from the parents to have the kids act like that. So it's like, I don't want to sit on the fence and say I can see both sides, but I want to see every possum gone from this country in a heartbeat. If I could do something and click my fingers and they'd all drop out of their trees and be dead, it would be amazing. Or even better, they flew away, because then there'd be no rotting meat carcasses everywhere. I would do everything I could to protect our native species. What was being hunted was all invasive species. So I'm okay with the concept of that, but the ugliness around the protesters of basically just ramming it in their faces also doesn't feel right. So I'm not quite sure where to sit on this, Chewy.
Don't sit on a dead cat.
No.
Okay, so where I stand on this, right? Introduce pests. We all know what they do. They're absolute carnage on our native animals, and we've made such inroads on stuff like possums and we're talking possums, deer, pig, feral cat, stoats, all of those sort of things. Cats are an enormous risk to our natural wildlife because we love them. We love the cute little moggies, and they love being outside, and they always come back when they're hungry, and they're definitely not out murdering all night.
Yeah.
My personal view is we should be phasing domestic cats out. I'm not coming around with Gareth Morgan's cat grinding van down the street like Mr. Whippy. I'm just saying, when your cat dies, just have a real good think about whether you replace it or whether it's just an inside cat. But the thing is, you let your cat outside, you don't desex them, they run away, they breed. And yeah, your feral cat bears no relation to the cat you keep in your house. Like, you'll see people talking about farmyard cats and all of that sort of thing. They are feral death machines, and you'd never go near one.
Yep.
So they're running around in the forest, fair game. I personally would have no trouble with kids participating in a hunting competition like this. I've got mates that go hunting. One of them's got a little 8-year-old girl that goes pig hunting with them. Don't have a problem. It teaches gun safety, all of that sort of thing. The kids lined up chanting meat, I have a problem with because it's fucking creepy.
Yeah, it's pretty creepy.
It's really, really creepy. And it is obviously adults that have pointed them in the direction of the protesters and gone, go rack them up. And kids are, of course, like, yeah, I'm going to do that. Absolutely. The protesters, my issue with them is, we don't want the nice animals to die. I get where you're coming from, but you are completely missing the point.
Mm-hmm.
You are missing the point of what animals we are protecting. And my whole thing with SAFE is that they seem to have a blind spot when it comes to cats. And they don't think about this. They don't think about feral cats. I don't like organizations that, when there's a feral cat colony and they go out and they desex them and then they release the cats again. It's like, cool, there's not another generation, but you are letting a death machine out that's just going to kill all the birds and all the lizards and all of that sort of stuff. I don't agree with any of that. But yeah, it's like the hunting community has problems as well. I see Rob Burney's mentioned this. Hunters will love to go, hey, look, we're getting rid of pests. We're getting rid of pests. Hunters also release pests or don't hunt them hard enough to get rid of them. They hunt them to maintain. You don't want to hunt too hard because then they're hard to find. You want to find this middle ground where I can go out and hunt some more. I want to shoot possums from a logging trail from the back of my ute. I don't want to go into the forest. So yeah, both sides of this argument, they have their biases and they can't be trusted.
I had a conversation with someone over the weekend who showed me a funny meme. And it was a person on a motorbike winning the Tour de France going, I identify as a cyclist, and they win the Tour de France, And I was just like, personally, I don't find it offensive. I find it a bit stupid. But the thing we got to be careful about with that sort of thing is many people use that kind of meme as an attack and as a fuck you, as opposed to some kind of quirky, weird play on words. And it feels like the kids doing the protesting is more of a fuck you than just like a look what we've got. It feels like there's some venom to it, is what I'm saying, which would have come from the parents. And I find that a lot. And this is I'm diverting. The first diversion of the day, Chewy, because it's not about this necessarily. I find that a lot in the whole kind of free speech conversation, where I feel like the right want free speech so they can use the N-word, and the left want free speech so they can have authentic and real conversations. Now, I know that's not all of the left, so don't go off on me. Where I sit on the left, which is closer to libertarian than authoritarian, like if you look at the compass, why I want free speech is to have real, authentic conversations. But I get the sense that why a lot on the right want free speech is so they can say whatever the fuck they want, no matter how offensive they are. So it's like free speech with no empathy, whereas I want free speech with empathy. And I feel that you can kind of laugh at the same joke or want the same thing, like protesting the protesters. But it's like when you call your best mate a fat prick, that's fine. But if you guys are walking through town and some stranger calls him a fat prick, it's like, no, you don't get to do that. There's different intentions behind it. And I think the intention behind those kids felt really icky. Like, it didn't feel funny. It wasn't a bit of a laugh. It felt kind of menacing, and it felt driven by the adults. And I don't think the kids, although the gumboot ratio was superb, I don't think the kids probably really knew the conversation. I think they just were indoctrinated to that thoughts no matter what. Although, and say again, listen, but like, I'll say it again. I mean, I want to see every possum gone in this country. If I know if I could wave my magic wand, I'd have them gone tomorrow. So I guess that's a conversation around how we communicate and what we do in a respectful way versus I'm just going to be an asshole way. Or even more than that, I'm actually going to speak to you in a way that actually denies your existence. It's not really the conversation for this, but in general.
Yeah. Like, I mean, that conversation that they were having at the competition was never going to be a productive conversation.
No.
You had people standing at the gates with very emotive signs, and you had hunters coming in that were never going to react well to it. But there wasn't an exchange, like a true discussion, and there wasn't an exchange of ideas. It was always going to be the crunchy rubbing up against of the rural divide, basically. And it's like, well, look, I don't think you should be monetizing this. Well, we're donating the money to a charity and all of this sort of stuff. And we keep, like, I mean, the other big one is the Easter bunny hunt here in
Over Easter,
in Central Otago.
Yeah.
Absolutely massively important thing, because the rabbits are definitely coming back. But yeah, a lot of people that don't live in those environments, don't live in Central Otago, they go, an Easter bunny hunt? Bunnies are cute, and it's Easter. It's all about bunnies. I don't like it. And look, there's kids going out and participating in that, because rabbit shooting is very easy. Got their
22s and going hunting.
And I mean, it is okay to be uncomfortable with this sort of stuff. Like, if you go, well, isn't this the glorification of killing? Yes, it is, and it is okay to not be comfortable with this. You can hold your nose and go, I don't like it, but I can kind of see the point in it.